Howdy folks, welcome back. It's been a minute again. I'm going to try and get one of these videos out every week at least, maybe twice a week. I don't know how well that'll go, but this is going to be the first devlog for Zombie Intern. You might be asking me, what's all this? I'm a zombie. I just finished the character rig and I've been working with it for a while. And I've decided that it's probably a good way to handle the devlog, so I can pull you guys in here with a camera that's in Unity and talk to y'all and handle all that, and y'all can see the changes in game as I am talking about them. So I have this fancy Cinemachine camera that is you guys, and let me toggle that off real quick so you can see what it looks like for me. I have this little panel in front of me that you can't see right now because I need to pull out. I have a button that allows me to pull out. It's currently over there because Cinemachine logic is wonderful and doesn't want to be exactly where I want it to, but that's okay because I like it being random. That's okay, I'll let it be procedural. So I have this little zombie body, and it is entirely physically simulated. I have a very basic walk animation on it. It's super janky, but for the most part, look, we're like 2 weeks into making the game, and we've got the model. It's a beautiful, sexy model, and we're in our test stage. So I've got this panel in front of me. It allows me to press these fun buttons to do different things. I press the blue button here. That pulls the camera all the way back there, and if I push it back, it zooms back over here. It's just using basic Cinemachine controls. So one of them is up closer and has slightly different follow logic, so it ends up being very different and puts it over here. And when I press the button, all it does is tell the actual camera to transition around between the two. So the other one is still over there. The camera itself is just not attached to it. If y'all don't know about Cinemachine, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But let me tell you about this panel. You probably can barely see it. Yeah. I'm going to keep doing this, and y'all can't see it at all, but I have a virtual desktop that I can push a button on my controller and see what the camera sees. I didn't want to put that in the game to... It's a lot of extra work that I don't... It's just so I can show y'all things, and if I already have a tool for that, I don't need to make another one. So I have my array of buttons. We've already tested the button to pull out and back in. Voila. And then I have a button that switches to the zombie view. Wrong button. Zombie view. There we go. Okay. Now you see what I see. And the beautiful body that I am currently in. And it allows me to kind of switch back and forth. I can hit this to switch back to the camera, hit the red to come back to me, and it allows me to show everything off. So I have these physical buttons in front of me, so that the major accomplishments for the week for this devlog is we have a prototype environment for the first level, and we've got the physics buttons, as well as the entirely physics-driven character controller working. I mean, it's working. I can reach my arm out, and I've got it all here, and I can reach this arm out. I had a bug that was documented in the Trello that I couldn't reach both arms, or I couldn't reach any arm anywhere past about here. And I have fixed that by allowing the torso to rotate with the arm, so that if you have an arm back here, you can rotate this and still fully extend. But if you want to pull them both, you can only go so far. And I mean, very realistically, my hands are actually in these positions, so these are pretty much where they need to be. But if I wanted to try and just barely reach it forward, my whole body comes forward, and it just kind of compensates. It's a very accurate representation of what my body is currently doing, other than my hands being in this pose. My hands are kind of in this pose. There's just controllers cradled in them anyway. So we've got the character. I've got my janky little walk that he does. It is beautiful. I'm going to put the camera back on and switch to the zoom out so you can watch me walk around for a moment. You see how well that looks? Where are we at? Yeah, you're pretty far out there. Okay. Here's my janky, super fun walk. If I can, here we go. Get out of the Steam overlay, please. Thank you. Okay. So I've got this walk, and it's to start and try to help me understand how animation blending works with the entire physics system. So I've got it all set up so that the upper body is pretty much entirely driven by my hand positions, but also the torso and hips allow everything up here to kind of move around and rotate, so that when I'm walking, my upper body can kind of jank around and wobble. And that will allow anything that I'm kind of like trying to clamber around to be bumped by the physical chest. But the animation controller is just one simple walk animation fed into the physics system that then gets interpreted and kind of does its own thing. I'm working on blending between a crouched position and a standing position. So currently, if I physically crouch, my it doesn't know what to do. It's janking out really hard. So I have a different blend pose for crouching with its own set of crouching walk animations. And I would totally show them off if I could do that without kind of crashing what is currently going on. It's not a fun time. But that's almost working. I just have to figure out the math for scaling the player and figuring out how crouched they are after scaling the player, because it's currently working really well with my own height. But if somebody was shorter, if they're this tall, their arms aren't going to be as long as these arms, and their legs will be touching the ground and not scraping like this. They would be walking normally, and it doesn't really work very well when you try to crouch right now. But that'll be fixed, and along with that will come all of the other walking animations for walking backwards, walking left, and walking right, and then a blend tree will fix that and make everything nice and pretty. Okay, now I get to show y'all the environment. So while we're zoomed out, I guess I'll walk you through it. I'm going to put some footage up towards the end of the video and talk a little bit about the process of how we concepted this, because it's a really neat process, but I'm going to walk you around the environment and explain what all each area is. So this is going to be the first level that we're going to pitch to developers, or not developers, publishers. We're going to pitch this to publishers and try to show what the game is all about. So we wanted something small that we could accomplish in the short amount of time while also trying to get the entire project set up, because it's a lot of work to get this whole shindig working, but also trying to develop the rest of the gameplay on top of that. Once we get all this working really nicely, we've already got the buttons for some of the interactions, and next week will be kind of the final stages devlog of what this fully fleshed out environment should look like if we can get it done in time. But it will kind of showcase everything, and by then we'll have the pickup interactions and all the fun stuff. But this small environment is intended to be the first scientist's evil lair. So we're in this dude's house, and he cooks himself up in the lair in the basement, and we are tasked with walking around his house and picking up random objects and bringing them to him as he needs them. So this is where the front door section is going to be. We kind of start here, and we'll have some sort of interaction leading the player to the basement with the dude yelling at you, going, "Minion, come see me!" or something ridiculous like that. And you'll walk through this environment and kind of get a feel for it. And this space will be a big sort of like kitchen type area, but not quite, because we want to kind of retcon it into this dude's evil intent. So we'll have a shelf and some countertop here, and then out this way there will be a very different and modified fridge that will hold one of our hero interactions. And you'll kind of walk through here and get a first glimpse of this, going, what the hell is all this? This is kind of crazy. And you'll make your way around this corner, out of his weird kitchen area, and into the living room, where there will be just more places for procedurally placed objects to be for the character to find. And then you'll go downstairs into this little basement area, and there will be here. Bear with me. I know it's weird to just point at a blank wall and go, this will go here. Yes, I'm going to sell you this house. So there will be a basement door here where it leads to the layer. And I don't know why my collision doesn't want to. Wow. Okay, there's an invisible collider in the wall. Don't worry about it. I can only go so far. Yeah. Okay. So the scientist door will be here, and then off in this corner over here will be kind of the deposit area where the player will then put the items that they find to give them to the scientist, for the scientist to then decide if you brought them the right item. So the item will be displayed on a screen up top, and then you place the item down here. So this is kind of the point of drop off, and every level will have a delivery point where you give it to the scientist and they tell you whether or not you got the right thing or not. So let's come back up the stairs and kind of look at the rest of the environment. So it's a fairly small space. We've got the kitchen that we showed, this living room here that will be another space, and then upstairs we have a greenhouse. So this is currently just a box, but we're going to put planters all along the center area, as well as irrigation coming from the ceiling. And this will be the other hero interaction. And because I didn't explain it very well, the hero interactions, each level will have a type of hero interaction that will be more than what the basic go pick something up and bring it to the scientist kind of thing is. So you'll kind of find something else in the environment that you have to interact with and takes a little bit more work than just picking something up. So up here in the greenhouse, that interaction is you will come over to probably this corner over here, and there will be a box of seeds. And you have to find the seeds for the plant that the scientist requested, bring them towards the middle, put them in a planter, and press a button to water them, where they will then be watered with some fancy grow juice that makes them big and strong. And then you'll have to pick the plant up and take it back down to the scientist. But the plants are super fragile, so if you drop them, they're gone. They poof into dust. And so you're kind of required to handle this fragile, delicate thing. And both of the hero interactions in this level kind of tend to be that way. I'm not sure how far we want to take that in punishing the player for dropping something, because it just doesn't seem like it's that necessary. I think for the plants, it'll be neat because you'll have the entire planter that you can just come and start again. And maybe a time trial or achievements for how fast you can complete the levels is something we want to consider. So there will be the planters that you have to plant in, but also sometimes procedurally placed in this, there will be very specific plants that you can't grow yourself that the scientist has been working on himself, and you have to come grab that and bring it to him. And obviously we're not going to destroy that one, because if that kind of thing has to happen, then you lose the item, and it's like, what the hell do you do now? You lose the game or what? You get pissed off? That's no fun. And the point of this is just to have a physics sandbox environment to test all of these systems out in and have fun. And kind of ruining that is not the plan. So let's come back downstairs to talk about the other hero interaction. We come back into the kitchen where I talked about this fridge that would end up being here in this corner. So there will be counter space, and the counter will kind of cut off right about here in this corner, and there will be a big boy fridge. And this fridge isn't really a fridge, but it kind of is. The scientists sometimes put stuff in it because it's still cold. But it'll be a potion dispenser. And you will come over to the countertops over here, and there will be a machine for mixing different potions. So the potion dispenser, you can grab a vial to put the potion in, and it will dispense different colors, red, yellow, blue. And you can put that in the vial and take that to the scientist, but sometimes they'll request a color that isn't just one of those three primary colors, and then you have to mix them. So to mix them, there will be these jugs. We're thinking about making them big. We're also thinking about making them small because, we don't want the player to run into too much jank when experimenting with physics. And if you have to handle something that's a big 5-gallon jug with two hands and have a lot of trouble, flipping it upside down to be able to put it onto the mixer, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But we want to try it and see how that goes. If not, it'll be, like a milk carton. And you put the milk carton in the thing and you push a button like it's a soda machine, kind of like the other buttons that we have over here. But you'll push a button and it'll dispense the potion. It'll be a fun little particle thing, and I've already got some machine sound effects that I made from some fun things around the house. But that'll dispense the potion, and then you take the potion back down to the scientist. And that's the game. That's the first level. That's what we're hoping to accomplish for all of this. Let me pull back in for a moment. Right here. Yeah, all right. Neato. I kind of just pitched the whole level, and that's cool. Let me show off. I'm gonna pull right back out. Let me show you some of the fun stuff that this character can currently do, though. There's no intercollision right now, but I can absolutely turn it on, and it works just fine. I'm kind of just leaving it disabled because there's a lot of weird, fun physics stuff that you have to conquer to set the whole rig up to be perfectly tracked to the head and the hands. And even then, it's still not 100% perfect. But the issues that I've run into is trying to set the joints up as soon as the level starts. It causes some weird physics jank. So if my character is in a pose about like this, and all of everything starts at 0 in positional space when you're talking about VR tracking, and as soon as the level starts, it switches from 0 to wherever the actual hands are and head are in space. And at that exact moment, it's also trying to set up the physics joints. And it doesn't like that because you've got this really precise moment that all of this weirdness is happening, and it tries to set the joints up, and by the time it's all done, nothing is where it should be. The head will be offset by a good few inches, and that causes you to be able to see the inside of your head, and that doesn't make any sense because you're like, wow, why do I have this weird tongue? What's this thing on my face? What's going on here? And then your hands won't be in the right position. They will be like a good foot out in the wrong direction, and that completely changes how everything rotates, and it doesn't allow the joints to move on the axes that they need to move. You know, the pivot at the wrist wouldn't be at the wrist anymore. I'm gonna grab my controller to simulate it. It doesn't. I can't even show how it would work because I guess I fixed it so well. But it causes a lot of problems, and I figured out how to fix that, and it was actually very, very simple. All I have to do is instead of the controller being the object that the joint attaches to, there's a child of the controller that is the object, and I offset that after everything's done setting up, and that's literally like not even half a second after everything sets up, so you don't even see it happen. You just get in and everything's where it needs to be. Here's some more super fun fancy walking. And I'm trying to experiment with like how do we handle the stairs with the character, because obviously, you know, I'm kind of just sliding up a ramp right now because I'm just using a basic character controller. I didn't opt for a fully fleshed physics character controller. It's not needed. I don't need to climb anything, or I don't need anything to push me. I mean, I can walk into a wall and not walk through. That's not an issue. I can lean to push my head through it in real life, and it'll just push me back because the character controller is a wonderful thing. But one of the issues I'm running into is this fun of kind of sliding up slightly, and my character's feet aren't really touching the stairs. Well, that's something I'm fixing in the process of actually modeling the environment in Maya. But I plan on I'll have the character collider collide with a ramp, and have a layer mask that allows the collider to ignore the actual physical stairs. And then I'll have another layer. The same kind of thing will happen so that the feet ignore the slope, but interact with the stairs. So I will be walking up it, and the feet can still very much drag on the stairs. I think it's sort of happening now. If I crouch, I get some weirdness of it trying to drag up the stairs, but I think it's really only colliding with the invisible slope. So that'll be something else to fix. So tell me what y'all think. I'm working tirelessly on this zombie. Let me zoom you back in. Yeah, I'm working tirelessly on this. Like, what is sleep? School starts in, what is it, like a week? Starts next week, next Tuesday, and everything will kind of change, but I will still be trying to work on this. The plan is finish this first level, or at least as much as I possibly can before school starts, so that we can start talking to publishers, and that will allow me to quit my part-time job, serving at a restaurant, so that I can actually work on the game while going to school. And it is my last semester, so I do have a little bit of lenience of I can work on this in some, like my portfolio class. I can work on this in portfolio, because this kind of is my portfolio. If it doesn't succeed wildly, it at least is. It shows that I can do a lot more, especially in VR, than most people can. And that if I don't get a good studio going and be able to publish my own games, somebody will see this and go, okay, why don't you work for us? So wish me luck. Tell me what you think of this. Ask me some questions. Give me any feedback. Tell me what you think, especially about this super interesting, janky foot thing. I mean, my ankle's completely broken in the wrong direction. I don't even know what's going on here. But I I think I like it because I'm not an animator by any means. This is all physics driven. This isn't even IK, which for anyone who doesn't know what IK is, it is literally there is a basic math algorithm and code that you can set up that tells one joint to point at the next to point at the next. And that does not simulate the fun of the elbow, of when I can move my hand and my whole elbow kind of shoots out. It doesn't do any of that. And so why try to write that complex code when I could literally just set up physics joints? And everyone will argue that that's way more complicated, but it's not. Once you understand the joints, it took a while, but once you understand them, it's pretty easy. And you can literally use that kind of stuff for anything. I can just bop on these buttons all day, and switch back and forth through all kinds of things, and everything works just fine. It's all physics, and you can use the physics in everything. It doesn't even just have to be VR. Everything that you can possibly think of can use physics. It's physics. So tell me what you think of that. Tell me what you think of my broken, janky legs. Tell me what you think of one of these, and a whip, and a nay-nay, whatever. Just give me some feedback, because we need it. This is a mess. We're tired, and we need some feedback on how things work. I'm going to let y'all go from this section of the video. I will cut to another section where I kind of briefly talk about the process of how the environment was concepted, because it was a really interesting thing. But yeah, here we go. Okay, that was fast. It was actually like several hours in between recordings, but that's okay. So we're looking at the Trello right now. We've got some changes to it, not a whole lot. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed in myself, just because it's really hard to keep up with the current stages of development as it happens. When we make so much progress in a day, it gets kind of hard to document it because we're so exhausted. We wake up the next day and get started and get back to work. So y'all saw a little bit of what the character looked like and the environment, and I'm going to show y'all some of the concept work that Jack had done for this, as well as we're going to take a look at the recording that I made walking through the environment. So I gave him the task of like, we're gonna concept just a buttload of these layouts, and narrow it down and figure out, what intelligent decisions can we make about how the layout is gonna go, and from kind of a logical standpoint to a size standpoint. You want this tight? Do we want this big and open? So we made a lot of decisions on it. So he made a whole bunch of different sketches, a whole bunch of different shapes and layouts, kind of exploring. We basically decided that, like, here's the layout that we had from the game jam, which was just one big open environment, and we decided that we didn't like that. It was probably best that we maybe make it a little bit smaller. So we experimented with an open space and then 2 rooms on the side from the original design, and then maybe a tower up top. That's kind of just adding 2 rooms to the original design, and then we experimented some more with all kinds of different ideas and things, but we basically had it narrowed down to we're gonna have I think this is the one. It might be a different one. I don't even know anymore. We iterated so fast on it, but we had decided that it was going to be a first floor and a second floor greenhouse, and then the basement was going to be where we take things. So let me show you. Oh, and here's the drawings of that fridge mechanism in that kitchen area. I don't think we ever got any sketches of the plant, the greenhouse, but we did. We got to a point where I had said, okay, let's like refine this a little bit more and figure out let's start talking about how the space feels to walk around in. And Jack had this moment of like, I don't know how to try and think about this, and we had kind of gotten into our own little corner and we're working on stuff, and I turn around and he's in Minecraft. And then it clicks with me instantly that he built this level in Minecraft. So here, just like out of where I was standing previously in the video, in this area, he built it all out in Minecraft with props. So we've got the front hallway and door, It comes into the kitchen area where the fridge and the potion station is. We were thinking about putting a sink here. He even added lighting and shelving in places and paintings everywhere. And then he put the staircase in the living room down to the basement. He even went so far as to try and figure out like using a prop for the screen and then where we're going to deposit the items, as well as I talked about I wanted to think about putting a camera, like a video camera outside on the wall. And so he just put this here as a prop because we were thinking, you know, when we walk down here, we want something to confirm, like we don't want, and this was just for fun, but we don't want to show the scientist just because we don't currently have, it doesn't fit our timeline right now to bottle him. And so we wanted to kind of keep it still feeling like some sort of human interaction, and so this camera is going to keep that happening. So the camera will look at you when you come in and watch what you do, and then when you put something in, it'll look at it and then look back at you, then look back at it, and then that's when it'll either spit it back out or whatever we decide to have it do, or confirm that it was good and give you the next item. But I just thought it was funny that he put this like testificate witch in here just to have a little bit of a laugh. And then he also took the time to like completely concept this area. I think we might be scrapping the door just because of time constraints, but you know, he modeled the irrigation. We decided on some sort of like green glass that you can't see out of. In Minecraft you can't really do that, but he put in a green glass nevertheless. And then we had the stones and the planters and the seed box as well. This is quite literally like exactly what I'm going off of to model the level for the game. And the fact that he blocked this out in this way, that like it felt like it's the right amount of space, except, you know, maybe raise the roof a little, and that's what I did. But the dimensions were pretty on point to what I was thinking, and so we kind of sat down and talked about the dimensions, and we counted the individual blocks in this hallway and converted it to meters, as well as in here and over by the fridge and in the living room. Just everything we counted out and measured the spaces, and then I blocked it in Pro Builder and Unity, and that really helps the entire process. But that's kind of how that happened, and it was pretty spontaneous and pretty fun, fantastic. I'm really glad that I've got Jack to work with, because it's that kind of stuff that keeps us working quickly. I think that pretty much wraps up the rest of the video. This has been a long one. If you really actually made it to the end, that's freaking amazing. Thank you for sitting for like, what are we at? We're like wow, we're probably at like 30 minutes now. So thank you for that. I'm over here fidgeting now and just kind of like rambling, but we're very quickly going to, I think the plan for the week is to model and code kind of at the same time and just kind of trade out and keep bouncing off of each other. So, you know, in the midst of that, I'll probably be refining the character controls a little bit. Let me pull up Unity. Let me pull that up. Just because it's kind of cool to look at all this stuff. So this was all those Cinemachine cameras and the button arrays, but we're going to work on the environment and the props and the interactions between those next, and as soon as that's done, then we kind of finalize it and get the sound effects in there as best we can with our remaining time, and kind of start fleshing out bugs. I've got a little bit more. I have to finish animating the character's legs and fix that crap, and once that's done, I think the character is pretty much where I want it to be. It's by no means like a AAA quality physics-based character, but it is exactly what it needs to be for this game, so I'm really happy with that. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry, I'm done. We're probably maybe past 30 minutes now, but thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next devlog. That should be coming towards the end of the week, if I can actually keep up with the damn schedule. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.